So in the last video, we built this cool little metaverse using React and A-Frame. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how we can actually deploy this metaverse. So if you have a VR headset, you can actually use your VR headset and actually access this metaverse and see it in VR. And it's pretty simple to do. I'm going to be using GitHub. And for those of you that don't have a lot of experience using GitHub, don't worry about it. All you need to do is create an account in GitHub, and I'll walk through the steps. We're not going to be using Git, but for this video, I'm just going to be showing you how you can manually use GitHub to deploy your metaverse. So yeah, let's get started. So last we left off, we just had our code where we created our metaverse that had a sky. We were using an image for that. We had our our sky. We created a rocket object with a couple of different models. Of course, our mountains, those purple mountains you saw there. And if you haven't seen this video, feel free to check it out. Uh, I'll have a link somewhere here where you can go watch it or just to get an understanding of how we built this. And it's pretty simple and it's really cool to do. But yeah, so we have all of this code, this React project that we built. And if we go into our package.json, by default, when you create a React project, there's some scripts that are already here. So our npm start, which runs the project locally. Then we have this build script. So if we wanted to run this now, we can say npm run build, and we'll be running this build script. Now, you can see this build file that was created, and of course, this script is still running. But basically, what it's doing, so it bundles everything up into this build file, and this is what we're actually gonna host. We're just gonna be taking the build folder that's generated with all our resources and code, and that's what we're gonna host and what we're gonna access. First thing we're gonna do is, like I mentioned before, you should create a GitHub account if you don't have one already. It's very easy to do. It's free, and of course, this is going to be free as well. You don't have to pay anything. So I already have a couple projects. This is my GitHub account, and now what I want to do is I want to go into repositories, and I'll just go ahead and create a new one. So I'll say Metaverse deploy, and I'll just call it this. One thing we want to do is keep it public, and yeah, we can just create our repository. All right, once you have this, um, we can go to upload an existing file. And wherever you have your project at, your Metaverse project, you're going to want to copy the files in there. One thing to keep in mind is you want to delete your node modules and that build folder that was created when I first ran. All we're going to need is these files are package log, package.json, public, readme is optional, and then source. But we'll grab these and drop them in there. But yeah, if you have your node modules folder still there, it's gonna not let you add them because you got way too many files in there. So go ahead and delete the node modules and delete that build folder because we won't be needing that. Once you've added all your files, we'll add initial commit, and then we'll just commit changes. And here you go. This is your repo. It's set up and it's got your files. These are all the files you should have in there. Okay, so once you get here, we're going to go to Actions. And once you're in Actions, you should see this Node.js. We can go ahead and click on Configure. By default, it's going to it's going to give us a template of how to run and build a Node project. If you scroll down here, you can see we're going to do a clean install to install our dependencies, our node modules, and then if present, it's going to run npm run build. And then this step to run tests, since we don't have any tests, we can just go ahead and remove that. But basically what this action is doing is it's using these things called runners to run and build your application, similar to how we do it in our command line where we just do npm install npm run or npm start or that npm build command that I showed you. This thing is doing the same thing and it's creating the project for you. Now, one thing I'm going to change here is the node version. I don't need all of these. I'm using version 16. So one thing I'm going to add here is I'm going to call this, I'm going to add a step. I'm going to call this name build, and then just cleaning it up a bit. It was giving me an error about indentation, but it should fix it. So this step is just going to be called build. It's going to run npm install, and then it's going to run npm run build if present. The next step we're going to add is going to be called, the name is going to be deploy. And it's going to be for uses. You're going to want to type in James Ives / GitHub pages deploy action at v4. And this is a action that somebody else already created to deploy the GitHub pages. If I didn't mention it already, GitHub pages is what we're going to be using to deploy our metaverse to. But we can say with, then we're going to want to say folder, and we're going to pass the name of that build folder uh, that we had created initially. Yeah, so this is it. This is our action that's going to install our dependencies. Then it's going to build our actual that folder or build our project, and then it's going to deploy to GitHub pages. And so we can start this commit. We'll commit this new file. And what this did is it added a workflow, a GitHub, a .github/workflows folder here. And I believe it's trying to run it. If we go to actions, it's trying to run this action right now. We can click on here. And if we click on this build, we can see that it's starting to run. Here it's, this is the first step is going to be the build. Here it's running npm install. It's installing all of our dependencies. There it goes. It has an error. Okay, so we have a build error. What is it saying? Process completed with exit code 1. Module cannot find .app home runner work metaverse source. Okay. So something failed here. Our action didn't work. And it might have something to do with our code. Source. Go to my React Metaverse, and then I go to source. Yeah, we see that there are a few things missing for some reason. What I can do is add files, upload files, and I'll just copy everything again and drop it into source. And I can go ahead and commit the changes. My model's still not there. That is gonna cause an issue. Report is there. Rocket.js isn't there. So let's see. Um, I'll add this file. star JPEG. Can't remember if this one's already there, so I'll just add it again. Set up tests, even though we don't have test. Rocket JS, web, and let's see, their model's too big. Yeah, so that's a big file. Can't be bigger than 25 megabytes. Okay. Okay. So my rocket actually isn't able to fit here because it's too big. So what I'm gonna have to do, I can do this, go into my models, and I'm gonna have to go back, remove my rocket here. So this way I can drag and drop my models in. That should be fine. Yeah, so now that works. I can pass in the mountain, but the rocket is too big. And this is one of the downsides of adding a GLB file into GitHub to try to deploy like this. Essentially, what you would want to do is either have like a CDN or someplace, an S3 bucket where you have your models, and then you just grab them from there and download them on the fly. So you don't have to push everything into GitHub because it has a limit of 25 megabytes, and the rocket itself is 49 megabytes. So um, I don't know, I'll just quickly show that. I don't know if I showed it, but yeah, I removed the rocket, and if I go to get info, we can see that it's 49.6 megabytes, and GitHub doesn't like that. So compared to the mountain, which is it seems to be way bigger, but I guess it doesn't have as much. It's only 1.3 megabytes, so there's no problem with the mountain model. Um, okay, but one thing I'm gonna have to do now is I'll commit these changes. Now, if I go back, we'll just go back to my code editor. Here, we can see that my rocket, since I already added rocket, the models, I'm just move it back in here, but I'm not going to use it, of course. Um, um, Now, this sucks, but I'm going to have to go to my app.js, and I'm actually going to have to remove my rocket completely. I'll remove it from here, and I'll also have to remove it from here. So I have to remove that. Save this. Okay, go back here. Now I got to replace my app.js. So here, so what I want to do is upload a file. And now if I go here and I drop in my new app.js and then I commit the changes, it'll replace the old one. Now if I go to source, go to app.js, the rocket's gone. And it's gone. The reference is gone. Okay. I don't think Rocket.js actually got here, so should be good. Should be good for now. Let me go back to actions. Oh, I added the file, so it's gonna be running. I believe it's running this again. Yeah, yeah. It's trying to run the build after every commit. Um, and the reason it's doing this, it's because if we go to our workflows and we go in here, by default, it has on a push from branches.main or a pull request from branches.main. So anytime we push or we pull from main, it's gonna be running that action. So that's why it's doing that, and that's why it did that all these. But since because of that rocket issue, it was failing. So we'll see if this fixes the rocket issue. If not, I might have to try something else. Uh, yep, didn't work. What is it saying now? Logo is defined but never used. Image element, uh, A11Y alt text. Image element must have an alt prop, either with meaningful text or any empty string. So to fix this issue, we need to remove these two lines from our package.json. After doing this, I ran into another issue with routing, and to fix that one, we need to add homepage and then set this value to the name of our repo. So for mine, it's called Metaverse Deploy, but whatever name you used for your repo would go in here. Additionally, we also need to edit our index.html file inside of our public folder. We need to add this style, setting our position to absolute, our height to 100, and our width to 100. This is because of an issue where our VR mode button isn't appearing in our project, and this should fix that. After we add this, we can go ahead and add our updated index.html file to our public folder. We can just upload the file and just drag and drop it in here. We'll go ahead and commit those changes. We'll also go ahead and add the changes to our package.json file. So we'll add the updated one as well and go ahead and commit those changes. Now, if we go to our action, another build should be running. And this time it passed. We see job completed. If we click on there and go to build, we can see that our build and our deploy step actually passed. You can see GitHub pages deploy action. That's from the action that we added. Now, if we go to settings and we go to pages, we should see deploy from branch as our source. If you don't have it, you just want to go and set it to that. Now, in our branches, by default, the action created a GitHub pages branch, and this is what we need to select. So we'll click on that, and then we'll just click on save. It might take a little while, but after some time, you should be able to see a link. Sometimes you might have to refresh, but yeah, after some time you'll be able to see it. And if we go to it, we'll open up and we see our metaverse. So now this is hosted on here at devless.github.io/metaverse deploy. You should be able to go to your link specific to your GitHub account and then the name of your repo. But you should be able to access your project or your metaverse anywhere you have a web browser. Here's a clip of me using my Quest 2 to access it. And another clip of me using my phone. But despite a few issues that we ran into, it's a pretty cool and simple way to deploy a metaverse. Share it with your friends, send them a link, and if you decide to deploy yours, send me a link, send me a message. I'd love to check them out. But thank you very much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time.